My name is Shiny Doggy, and today I wanted to go through a real-time line art. Line art. Line art can always be scary because you're like, oh my gosh, it's so final. But it doesn't have to be. You can just like calm down and do it. A way that really helps me is doing an undersketch. As you can see, I have this one, and it's pretty rough. Like there's no clothes. It's just like I put like a box for the torso and went from there. I did start with the nose and the eyes. I feel like that kind of helps me like ground where it's going. Like this pose is walking forward, like wee, like excited for something. So I had to kind of adjust the body. Later on, I'll do that. But right now, I'm just kind of getting the head fixated or fixed to where it's going. Because when you walk, well, you're supposed to lead with your hips, but usually it's your head that's like guiding where you're going. So that's why I'm focusing so much on this. And again, for the first time, when I first started doing line art, I was so scared and I was like, I have to get this line right the first time. I have to get it in one take. I have to do this circle all the way around. But I've slowly gotten over that and I'm pretty proud of myself because I like sketchy, lines with things. I like seeing a little bit more texture. With pencil, it's a little easier to like get a build up on line art stuff or like actual like an ink pen because like you're adding a physical medium on top of each other, but digitally it's a little harder. So going back in and erasing, even though like the texture is a little different, it helps. So another thing that I just did that helps me is I kind of make like a leotard to help figure out where the body is. So I'll go in and erase that little V near the bottom of the body. But for now, I feel like it helped me understand with like where the hip placement is. Also, I wanted bell bottoms. So I just added that on top of it. I could have gone into the underlayer and like drawn in a rough of the bell bottoms, but I figured it was fine enough that my brain could take a risk and do it enough on its own. I did kind of struggle with the feet just because I wasn't drawing through. I was like, all right, it'll start here. I think if I drew through it, I could have figured it out a little easier. And what drawing through is just a term where you draw over parts that aren't going to have the line shown later. I'll talk about that more when I get to the ears because I was drawing through a lot there. It's just sometimes you get stifled with like where a line should be going, and your hand, if it can't complete that curve, it makes it a little harder. I also pushed the shoulders up because I wanted it to be more of like a kind of thing, like I was talking about earlier, kind of like this, but not 100%. I also made it a square neck because I've been really into those kinds of shirts lately, trying to change up the outfits for her. So that way she's not the basic cartoon that has only one outfit for me. Sorry. And then I ran into a problem with this. I did not give enough space for the hand. So it would have overlapped, but not in like a fun way. It doesn't look planned. It looks like I didn't calculate enough space. So I'm making these curves to calculate in my brain where it would actually be. So I was like, okay, so this is the right length. And then I'm checking the legs. And I use a muscle memory ruler. You know how like when people like use their arms and they like lock their elbows, they're like, okay, it's this wide instead of a ruler. I can kind of remember what length something is by drawing the line in one spot and then moving over and doing that again. And so that's how I was measuring. So I'm putting in a new hand, and I feel like the upper body was more important than the lower body. So I wanted to get those arms posed. And looking at it now, oh no, I think that arm on the right is too long, but whatever. And so then now I'm coming back in. And so see, I kind of drew through there. Like it went over, it overlapped the left leg, overlapped with the right leg. And I just left that line there. Again, just figuring it out. Just because it's the final layer doesn't mean you only have to have one line. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like it adds a little more if you give some texture to it. Again, it's different. And then I measuring, again, the muscle memory measuring, trying to figure it out. I also realized that I just left her fingers off still at this point. But that is something that is gone over a lot in school, that when you are painting, you should touch a little bit of the canvas at a time, not just hyper focusing on one area. So again, this is drawing through, even though that little bit that I'm erasing now won't be there. It helps me for the curve of it to just draw it. And I wanted the movement to be like moving forward. So I had the ears curved back. But yeah, I think it's cute. I'm excited to go do the other ones. I wanted to do a real time one because I feel like a lot of the internet is like, look at how tough and good I am at drawing. Isn't this amazing? But it's not that serious. We all make mistakes. We all try and figure it out. We all try and learn. And so then I went in with the brush a little smaller, so that way I can make the eyelashes. And again, touching all of the canvas. So that way it all kind of blends together. Because if I did start with the face, but if I had stuck on this for that long, then I feel like I wouldn't have spent as much time on the arms and legs, because I do have ADHD. And if I spend too long on something, then I start to get the idea that everything else will take that long, and I get overwhelmed, and then it makes me want to stop. But now, because I left some stuff on the face, it feels like a little treat. I kind of always draw it differently each time, but in order. I draw in order differently each time, but I think if you get to the end product that you want to, it doesn't 100% matter. I think the most helpful thing for me is just kind of bouncing around to make sure the image looks good together rather than just on its own. And I'm going in and adding a little bit more structure to the torso, making some room for a rib cage. All the girlies got rib cages. And I also wanted to touch up the necklace, because I put the little line, but I feel like that was not enough. And it was also, I didn't want it to look too big. So I had to go in a couple times and redo it, because I don't know, currently it changes like every 6 months. I've been really into dainty little necklaces. So I just wanted to make this a small little jewel. It also feels very like Renaissance-y with a small jewel and then the square neck. And then again, little bits everywhere. I did not like the way that the flared jeans were looking. So I went back down and fixed it. But again, if I had stuck down there, then I wouldn't have been like, wee, fun, eyelashes. So following your gut with like where you want to bounce around just kind of makes everything a little bit more enjoyable. And that's the whole point of it, right? Enjoying drawing. Well, thank you so much for coming and hanging out. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll see you later. Bye.